Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Xbox Series X and see how this particular console holds up in 2024. Now, the thing I would definitely tell you is that this console is still 100% worth buying. It's a very, very good console. It's probably still one of the best consoles you can buy right now. And I'm going to say the word console like 3,000 times in this video. Maybe I'll say Xbox, I don't know, I hate saying console, but I will tell you, with the Xbox Series X, it doesn't really get that much better than this right now. Like, how many, gaming consoles can come out right now that are going to top this one? And I akin this or liken this probably to something like the Xbox One X. I'm trying to think if there's any other console, but just imagine if the Xbox One X came out, right when the Xbox One came out, and then ever since then, for that whole entire generation of consoles, they went through, made some improvements, made the Xbox One S, and then Xbox One X Slim or some other variation of it. It would still not change my opinion about the Xbox One X, because that was just such a good console. I just wish the One X came out earlier. And guess what? The Xbox Series X is exactly what the Xbox One X should have been. I guess it should have just came out when the generation, first came out. And now 4 years later for the Xbox Series X's, release, it's actually pretty crazy that this console is still here. We're still basically, haven't really gotten too many successors of this thing, to be honest. But I like this console a lot. And I still think it's completely worth buying for the most part. But we are getting close probably to the successor of this console coming out. So I don't know if this would be the first console I would recommend people to buy. If you can, maybe I'd probably recommend people to wait. But regardless, I do think this is still a very, very good console. It's very beautiful. And for sure, if you want to buy it, I would say go for it. In fact, if you want to pick it up, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there on Amazon, and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside of this particular console, it's a pretty minimalistic type of design. It's a box, it's a rectangular box. It looks kind of like I don't know how to describe it. It looks kind of like a building of some sort, like a skyscraper, but I think it's an interesting design. Now, I will tell you, I will just share a little secret, which I say in every gaming video. The Xbox One S was basically my favorite designed console. I think if I'm going to go through and purchase any sort of device, if it looks like the Xbox One S, I'm all there for it. I love the One S so much, and it's probably one of the best looking devices I think Microsoft has ever made. Now, the Series S kind of looked a little bit like it too, but the Series X isn't necessarily like my favorite type of design, but I still think the Xbox Series X is a very beautiful console in and of itself. You are getting lots of USB ports on this thing. You are still getting lots of other information on this particular console as well. I mean, it's a very, very good looking console. You're still getting the HDMI port on the back, AC adapter, lots of good stuff all around this console. I guess some of the highlights of this console, one, I like how the fan is at the very top. I know it's kind of a meme and it was kind of giving some issues before, but I actually did like the way this particular console kind of looked, and the fan at the top and the exhaust was actually a nice, I guess, difference, because usually we'd have the fans on the sides or something. So now having it at the top was nice. I like that this console had a disc tray. So one of its biggest highlights here, you can easily just go ahead and insert a disc and go from there. The problem that we were kind of getting on some other consoles, like the Xbox Series S and the PlayStation, the standard PlayStation 5, the digital one, was that you weren't actually getting any sort of, disc tray on them. That is kind of an issue, right? And that's kind of an issue for me, because I want to basically be able to go through and have some sort of, disc tray and plug in the games and all that stuff within my particular console. You weren't really getting that on the Xbox Series S. You are getting that on the X. So that right there is a very cool thing going on here, and something I actually like a lot about this console as well. So that right there is one thing to keep in mind. But beyond that, I still think the Xbox Series X is a very, very good console. I like that console a lot, and it still is a very, very good device. Now, for the controller side of things, this was something that kind of irked me a little bit, if I'm being honest. The reason why I had an issue kind of with the Xbox Series X and the Series S was that Microsoft didn't throw in too many USB Type-C ports into this console in general. I feel like they should have easily gone and added some more USB Type-C ports, and they weren't really doing that here. Like, I love having USB Type-C. I think it's an amazing port, and it makes sense for them to kind of throw those types of ports in this type of device, but they weren't really doing that here. And that was kind of the problem, right? My problem here was that it's a next generation console. It should have next generation IO. It wasn't really the case, and that was kind of the issue. Now, with the controller, they did put it here. So I liked how they did that. But still, my only gripe with the controller, which actually some people have some differing opinions on, they actually, like, the controller, I feel like should have some sort of rechargeable battery inside of it that comes straight out of the box. I love the ability that you can put in AA batteries here if you need to, but I think it would have made a lot more sense, or it would have been a lot better if they did just throw in the, batteries in this particular controller. I think that would have made a lot more sense here. But beyond that, I think it's still a good controller. A lot of people claim, that the Xbox 360 controller was the best. This one is also very good, and I like this controller a lot too. But like I said, if I'm going to go through and, pick up some sort of controller, pick up some sort of device, I definitely want it to have, I definitely want it to be amazing and as great as possible. And this controller is like not that bad. It's actually a pretty good controller for the most part. So that right there is like another thing to keep in mind there as well. Now going back to the actual Xbox console. 4 years ago when I made this video, okay, I bought it, when I first bought this particular console, I was like, you know what, this is an amazing console. And the thing is that this generation is just getting started. You don't have to buy this particular console today, and you don't have to buy it tomorrow. You can buy this thing years from now, and you'll still have a really, really good console that's going to stand the test of time for so many years, right? Now, with the Xbox Series X, right now in 2024, I would say the exact same thing. Like the Xbox Series X is still right there. Like it's still giving you a very good supported, device, and it's still going to be here for so many years to come. And that is one of my most favorite things going on for this particular console, because like I said, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So when you are buying this particular console, you're still getting a device that's still supported with, everything basically. There's still lots of games coming out for this thing, and it's not ending anytime soon. And again, that is like my favorite thing going on for this particular device, because you're still going to be able to have tons of games coming out for this thing, and tons of support and tons of applications coming out for this thing as well. And that in and of itself is one of my most favorite things going on for this particular console, because it isn't in this weird phase where it's like stuck in this like rock and a hard place where it's like not getting games anymore or anything like the Xbox, One, the original one, even though the One X is still kind of getting some games here and there. With the Xbox Series X, it's killing it in my opinion. And that in and of itself is one of my most favorite things going on. The power of this console is still top tier. Like it is a very, very good, very powerful console as well. And that is something else that is very cool about this particular console too. Because all the games that are supported on this thing and the future of this console, there's still just so much going on for this particular device, which screams to me that it is still a very, very good console. So really the only thing and the only, not gripe, but the only issue I would kind of have with this particular device nowadays would probably come down to the successor of this thing. The problem with the Xbox Series X is that if you're trying to go through and if you're trying to buy that next generation console, although this is still like the next generation console for the most part, you're kind of stuck where like this device, if I'm being honest, if the successor is coming out next year or this year, you might want to wait off if you can. If you have it already in Xbox One X or you have some other device, you might be better off if you just pick up the other device for the most part, right? Buy that particular device rather than buying this one. I think that's the thing that makes the most amount of sense. So, that's probably what I'd recommend a vast majority of people, is to go ahead and buy that next console rather than this one. Because if you're buying this console, you're going to keep it for like 4 or 5 years probably, right? You're not going to go and start, you're not going to upgrade this thing today or tomorrow, right? You're going to upgrade this thing at a way later point. Same exact thing with if you buy the next generation console. Like you are much better off purchasing that next console rather than purchasing this one, and kind of setting yourself behind in a way. So that's kind of what I'd say. Overall though, I love the Xbox Series X. I think it's a really good console. They kill it. They dominate it in so many different ways. And I do think like if I'm going to go and buy some sort of console and buy some sort of device, this is probably the one I'd recommend a vast majority of people to actually go ahead and buy. I'd recommend buying, this one and, going down this direction. But still, if you want to, if you save some money for the time being and spend some money later, go for the Xbox Series X at a later date. So go for the Xbox Series X at a later date to save some money, or you can also just, wait till the successor of this thing comes out. So that pretty much covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.